I don't know if I told you this already, but I've just quit Adobe, so off to do my next venture.
Somewhere in there, people kind of get lost. They want to just read the synopsis on the back and then just skip to the end page.
As I get older and balder, you start to realise there's more nuance to the world.
Yeah.
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
Love it. Everyone's a friend of the pod. Good crew.
Only
Good
the best
crew.
creators are friends of the pod, Andy, just like you.
Oh, you're good. Like, if someone is awful on camera, bless him, it ends up being its own viral moment, so it's kind of funny.
You've also written a book.
I have, that's my second one now.
Presented here by Harry Williams.
I wondered who was the only one that bought a copy.
And we are back for episode 3 of the What Just Happened podcast. And I have a different seat. I'm here with my co-founder, Harry Williams, and today we do not have Danny with us. We have Andy Lambert. Welcome to the show. You're our first guest here on the What Just Happened podcast. So,
what a privilege.
So Andy, it's our privilege. Thank you so much for coming. It's so nice to take you from the feed, where I see you so frequently, and put you in real life in front of us here. For those who don't know you, how about you give the audience a little bit of an intro to who you are and what you're all about?
Of course, I'll keep it short. I'm Andy, spent the last 15 years in B2B marketing. So when was it? 2016, co-founded a business called ContentCal, which became the fastest growing business in our category. And then the end of 21 got acquired by Adobe, which was still mad to think about. Spent the last 4 years building products at Adobe, focused on Adobe Express, and then building that from nothing into its tens of millions of users now. Not just myself, part of a much bigger team, but it's given me a fascinating perspective on building right from the grassroots level, what it takes to build a brand from scratch and become the fastest growing company in the space, and then working at one of the world's best tech companies has been absolutely fascinating. And now that journey is just about to change as well. So I don't know if I told you this already, but I've just quit Adobe, so off to do my next venture. So there you go.
Wow. Congratulations.
Here's some breaking news.
Amazing.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
Breaking news on the podcast, a friend of the pod is leaving his job to go back into entrepreneurship.
Correct.
So what's the game plan now? What are you working on?
Funnily enough, it's back into marketing tech, so I'll share more as time goes on. But it's a category that I'm very familiar with. So watch this space.
Watch this space. Amazing. And for those that don't follow you, you've got 26,000 followers on LinkedIn. You speak obviously a lot about social media. It was the space you were in. You have some really interesting kind of weekly series, and sort of you keep up to date with not just LinkedIn, all social medias.
Yep. Yeah.
Tell us where that sort of inspiration for the sort of series-based work came, right? So one of the things I love about your content is every week I can just see your video of you sitting on your couch, giving us the ups and downs of all the different social medias.
Yeah, that's basically been my life since 2018. And I've been on LinkedIn since, I think, must have been 2010, I think, where started my first social selling program, because I was a salesperson before I went into startup. Because basically, like any cocky salesperson, you think, I'm smashing my quota, I reckon I can do a business. So anyway, that's how the kind of journey started. And so I've always been on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's always been like front of mind. And I think it probably was about 2018 where I was like, you know what? I think I need to have more of a regular presence on social and, in proxy, promote ContentCal, which is the business I was building. And I thought video is probably going to be a way to do that. So it's fairly early on video then. And the reason for that, I was like, well, no one else is doing like these like bite-sized social media updates. Like every Tuesday at 8 a.m. I post, here's the 4 social media updates you need to know. Because it's a fast-changing industry, I was like, well, what do I hear from all of our customers and potential customers again and again? Like, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know what's going on, things change all the time. So I wanted us to be at the forefront of what's happening on social strategy, right? So, and I think we were fairly early in the whole like founder branding thing. And so what's that? 8 years on, every single week I've posted without fail. So that is 800 instances now that I've posted over that time. So I have no idea, multi-millions impressions, I don't know. But the most important thing, and we spoke about this before we came on camera, is like the videos don't do much different to what they did like 5 years ago. In fact, throughout COVID, they were doing better. But outside of the 3,000 odd views that they get every week, what's really important is that it's off the back of those videos where all of the most important stuff happens. So whenever I walked into a sales meeting when I was doing ContentCal, I was like, hey, aren't you the guy that does the roundups? And I know I'd won the deal, right? Because trust is already built. And it came up again and again, like we won our biggest deal at ContentCal, and I asked the decision maker, like, why did you choose us? And he simply said, like, your features kind of on parity with Hootsuite, your pricing was fine, but actually we chose you because we feel like we know you and we feel like we'll get better by proxy of using you. And I was like, okay, that basically was a mic drop moment for everything personality-led growth. Sorry for the long waffle on that one, but hopefully it makes sense.
That's amazing. And we'll come back to that in a little moment because you've also written a book.
I have. That's my second one now.
Presented here by Harry Williams.
I wondered who was the only one that bought a copy.
Yeah, my very own copy of Spheres of Influence. I've been getting deep in that over the last couple of weeks. And interesting, a couple of things you said there that actually you touch on in the book I think are really interesting. First one, which is not the purpose of this episode at all, but I just want to touch on it quickly, is the benefit of a series of content. The fact that you had this social media update that you went back to week after week, your audience very clearly knew what to expect from your content and knew that every week you'd come back, exactly as James said, on a Tuesday or whatever day it is, and get that update and see what's happened.
Exactly.
And that's so effective, something we really try to do with clients. And when we've nailed it with clients, it's been some of the most effective content we had. Like, they've been known in their industry for that series above anything else. It's amazing the impact that has versus just kind of ad hoc posting and random scatter.
100%. Well, every business is a media company, right? So as a media company, you run series, you run channels. So that is just one of those, albeit like not as popular as an actual like proper media channel. But I mean, that's the thing. And plus, not only does it create a level of consistency and like reliability, it's massively lowers the cognitive load when you're approaching doing social every single week, because you're like, well, what am I going to do on a Tuesday? Well, I know exactly what I'm going to do. So yeah, much easier.
This episode is brought to you by Bucci, a hard kombucha drink made here in the UK. Has all natural ingredients and live cultures. Comes in 3 flavors: pear and elderflower, ginger and lemon, and my personal favorite, wild berries. You can jump over to drinkbucci.com, which is drinkbuci.com, to get yourself some hard kombucha. Now back to the episode.
To go back to the book then, so you obviously mentioned here founder-led growth, and in the book you talk a bit about kind of creator-led growth as well, and creator content, and how creators are turning their audiences into businesses. But one of the third kind of content use that you talk about in here that I think is not actually spoken about anywhere near as much is personality-driven content. Could you tell us a bit more about that? Because I think there's a lot of people talk about the first two, but maybe less so on the third.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is, for us, we get it, but I think it's probably a little bit more nascent for especially other B2Bs, right? Because when we think about like personality-led content, we might think, okay, activating our founders or maybe some subject matter experts within the business, which is still, I still feel like I'm dragging many businesses into thinking about their wider teams in this way. And we'll get on to talking about that later, no doubt. But like, personalities are the bit that allow you to connect at emotional level with an organization. That's the memorable bit. And for many B2Bs, they lack that distinctive brand asset that we know that every business needs. How's someone going to remember you? Like, I came across Shake long before you got in touch with me for this podcast, because I was like, oh, James, feels like you're a mate. Like, we'd never actually met in person before, but I see you all the time in my feed. So again, that is the perfect representation of the impact of personalities.
Yeah, 100%. I think as well, I used to work at an ad tech business, and we spent a lot of time trying to get more personality-led growth in that exactly the same way, and we definitely made a lot of mistakes in the process. A lot of those learnings then translated into how we started Shake. But you also shared some like really interesting kind of actionable steps to get started on using the spokespeople within your business and getting more people online, more people speaking about your company. Can you tell us a bit more about some of those steps? I think it was like 6 in the book, maybe? Oh,
yeah. So, well, the core of spheres of influence is all based around those kind of 6 core spheres, obviously. And it's, I was trying to codify what it took to grow ContentCal so quickly. Well, so quickly. I mean, 5 years from found to exit. So it's fairly rapid.
Pretty quick.
And I was like, how did we actually become like the first product to mind in our customers' minds, right? And it's always used to be the case of like, what tools do you think about when you think of social media scheduling software? ContentCal was always part of the conversation. And people used to ask me like, guys must be spending a fortune on marketing because we hear you everywhere. And I'm like, well, we're absolutely not, because we didn't have the budget for that, clearly. But we're just in all of the spaces that you're in. We're flooding the zone of the places that we understood. So we know where our customers hang out, right? And that obviously sounds really simplistic, but that starts with a real good understanding of where your customers spend time and what influences them. Far too few people understand that. Of course, everyone asks like, how did you hear about us? But then the next follow-on question is like, where, what, who and what influences you? When you buy software or choose an agency, like where do you get your recommendations from? Because then you'll start to understand the feeds or the groups and the communities and the channels that people get inspired by. Once you understand that, then you work on these kind of 6 spheres of influence, which is the core kind of premise of the book, which starts with turning your customers into advocates, building evangelists across your team, then working with communities, which was like the best thing we did at ContentCal. So every single micro community that I heard come up in conversations with our customers, I made it my mission to make friends with whoever ran that community. Do whatever I can. Treated that like a sales job, basically. And then 4 is micro creators. So those people where, they have a niche audience. Found a huge amount of joy in that, but would never work with anyone that didn't or want to use ContentCal themselves, right? Because we've tried to pay influencers, and I have many war stories, lots of wasted money. But that is the 5th sphere, like working with the more macro influencers when you get the fit right does work. But that's a whole other podcast, probably. I could share some more stories. And then number 6 is like the industry experts. This is when you're working with researchers from like Forrester or Gartner or G2, those kinds of things, where it's basically like, you're not going to get a deal done because of those, but they're the validation tick at the end. So those 6 spheres like floods the zone of like who influences and who's basically in your mind of your target customer. And that's how you build a word of mouth engine around a brand.
Yeah, word of mouth is so important. I think, I can't remember where we got the stat from, but there was a stat that we sometimes use in Shake. I think it was something like 72% of purchase decisions are made before you ever even look for alternatives.
Yeah, 100%.
Just like you have a provider, whoever it is, a vendor, thank you. You have a vendor in mind before you start the search process, and then the idea is you have this one. You're like, well, I better go look at what the alternatives are. But you've already got the one you really want to work with, so you go look at the alternatives, and you kind of go, okay, yeah, those ones exist, but actually this one's still the one I liked. It's the one I liked in the first place, and all of that's come about because you've seen them around, you've seen their content.
Yeah, I mean that one as well. I think any marketing managers that are like on, listening to this or watching this, wherever your viewing pleasure is for the podcast, they will have been tasked with finding a vendor of anything. It could be a CRM, a sales enablement software, an agency of XYZ. And often that marketing manager will have the one in mind, but because they're due diligent and they've been asked, they'll come with 2-3 alternatives that can be compared. That's what a head of marketing or CMO should do. It should be an action they do. But there's always going to be one that they have in mind if they have been consuming that content online. Yeah. So the book is incredible. You can buy it in Amazon. We won't go too much more into it, otherwise, why would anyone need to buy the book? So a couple of things there. We talked a lot, obviously, it's what Shake does. It's all around, activating those profiles of senior leaders and founders especially. We talked about this. It is something which people need to get on board with. Is there anything you'd say to those that still are just feeling unsure, they're feeling really uncomfortable? Maybe this was you once upon a time, or maybe you've seen this with clients or maybe even Adobe or whoever, where senior leaders in a big organization or founders, CEOs, etc., maybe smaller organizations, they're really unsure. They really kind of need someone to push them over the line of getting live on a social media, in this case, LinkedIn.
I think it's non-negotiable. Personalities in B2B, it's not possible to build a brand without activating your individuals within the organization. I feel so strongly about that, and there's very few hills I'll die on. As I get older and balder, you start to realize there's more nuance to the world. And Lord knows the world needs a bit more nuance and balance, but like this is something that I feel so compelled to talk about and care so deeply about, because like I said, like, yes, B2Bs need to turn into media businesses because we are in an entertainment-led market and we are in an attention economy. Distribution is the only business advantage because products are going to get commoditized increasingly over time, and we cannot let risk and fear get in our way anymore. And obviously we can talk about some ways to actually make it happen, but fundamentally the way that people make decisions, to your point, Harry, is like people make their decision based on emotion and then justify with logic, and that's it. And you make a decision based on people you know, like, and trust. It's as simple as that, simple as it is.
And that brings us on perfectly to the next segment, which is employee advocacy. So I've got down in my show notes, which you provided us, which is employee advocacy is a wrong term.
Yep.
It needs to be.
I hate it.
It needs to be rebranded.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to glow up.
It does.
So
big time.
First and foremost, for anyone who doesn't understand what maybe the term employee advocacy is, give us a bit of context there, and then tell us why it needs that sort of glow up.
Okay, cool. So I might be pushing on an open door with you guys, but yeah, feel free to challenge me on this. Employee advocacy is typically like the catch-all term for activating employees, basically, because it's not a complex thing to understand to go, well, all of my employees have a much bigger reach than my company page, so if I use them, I'll reach more people. Right, genius. Okay, so take that logic a bit further, because that's typically like a distribution-orientated logic. And then what's happened is that a bunch of software vendors have gone, oh, you know what? We could automate that. Brilliant. So unfortunately, the tools sometimes shape the use and culture of an industry. So employee advocacy has kind of shaped up as a whole space where there's some massive vendors in the space, which all exist to allow standard corporate crap content that would exist on a company page, right? Like, we're delighted to announce, like, we've just been awarded X, all of that bullshit that no one wants to see in their feed, but somehow we just think that the LinkedIn company page is a dead zone of, like, press releases. And then not only are we happy with destroying our LinkedIn company page feed, then we amplify that through all of our employees. So it's like shit at scale. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this.
You are more than welcome to.
Swear
Good.
away.
Perfect. Basically, that is what employee advocacy is. And it's basically like, even in the term, and I hate the term because it's like, oh, an employee just, doing something for their employer, which is not what we should be doing here, because the opportunity is much bigger than that. It's not just like, oh, could you just reshare that because we want to get a few more likes on our post? All nonsense, all like social 1.0 type of thinking where we're missing the bigger opportunity. So I'm curious on your takes though. Like, have you seen companies take this approach as well, like the traditional employee advocacy play?
Yeah, I've seen it done in both ways. I've seen companies that do exactly as you say and just do shit at scale, where they take a terrible company post and then just push it and push it and push it, and employees are given like a mandate of you have to reshare the company post or you have to comment, and you end up with this weird thing where you have the company post on a post on the company page, and then all of the employees going, great post, great insight, totally agree.
Yeah.
And you can see that from a mile off.
Yeah.
That always blows my mind. But on the other side, I've seen loads of companies have done it really well. I was thinking about some of the examples before we started this episode, and one of the ones that I think has done it exceptionally well and continues to do it well is System 1, the measurement company. So a lot of people will be familiar with Andrew Tyndall, who has a really big following on LinkedIn.
Friend of the pod.
And John Evans, who had the Uncensored CMO podcast, which is fantastic. It's almost done too well because he's gone off, and now I think that's his full-time gig is working on that podcast. But you saw that a lot. Their team put out a lot of posts and a lot of content, and Andrew Tyndall alone has generated millions of views and built the reputation of System 1 hugely just from his content alone. It's incredible. When I was at my previous company and we needed to find a new research partner to work with, I immediately reached out to System 1 because I'd seen Andrew's content, I knew who they were, and it was only because of that. So then I went and looked at their competitors, but exactly the same as we were saying earlier. The go-to name was System 1 because of their content and the way they'd use personality-driven growth on LinkedIn.
Perfect example.
What about yourself, Andy? I'm sure you have plenty of good examples of companies doing this well? Everyone loves examples.
There's two that I absolutely adore right now, and I quote them all the time, to be honest, so people probably have heard me talk about them before. So one is TLDV, meeting recording software. They have taken a completely different approach to how to build on LinkedIn and how to build personality-led growth. They do an amazing job. And Clay is another one. You know, everyone loves Clay, and I think they think through LinkedIn in a way that I don't think anyone else has really thought about it. They look at it through layers. Like there's entertainment value content at the top driving reach. There's a subject matter expertise. Always follow the guy, Davide, who is the head of growth and does loads of like deep subject matter expertise type of best practice stuff. And you look at the comments of his posts, they're all like Clay's ICP going like, love this, it's great. There's like internal banter. It feels like a community in the comments thread. And then they've also got the founders active as well. And like across all those three layers, I was like, you have nailed this LinkedIn flywheel. And I will keep on showing like Clay as like the perfect example of everything I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, they've got something for everyone. That's how I'd look at it. We always say is that is now more important than ever. And honestly, like I'll hand on heart and put my hand up and say we weren't saying this 2 years ago when we started Shake, which is you really do have to earn the eyeballs. Like if you can produce that content that is either so educating that people are going to come back time and time again, or you go the other way and it is just really good fun and good entertaining content, you earn those eyeballs, which then allows you to then feed in the sort of middle of funnel authority leading content, which is going to go, oh wow, like Andy really knows his stuff, before then you just serve the classic, bottom of the funnel, please buy me, here's my case studies, this is the content exactly. We really want. I think somewhere in there people kind of get lost, and often it's sort of really focused on that bottom of the funnel thing because they want to sort of skip to the end of they want to just read the synopsis on the back and then just skip to the end page. So we've talked a little bit about employee advocacy not being the right term. We've also talked about sort of getting those senior leaders on. If I'm an employee and I don't want to post on LinkedIn, and maybe we're a team of 20 people, what can like a C-suite or a marketing leader actually do to get not an employee advocacy program, but personalities of the business involved with that marketing strategy? Because I think one thing has come more apparent than ever from every event that I've been to recently, every summit I've been to, is that there is just such blurred lines between marketing, revenue, growth, like ops teams now. There's such like, come on, we're all in this together, especially if you're a scale up. So what's your advice to actually activating those personalities?
Great question. So number one, it's going to need some ownership. It's going to need someone with a purview over like both content, because we all know the value of content and distribution and reach or whatever, but also revenue, because this is a revenue driver, and this whole thing needs to link together like a flywheel. And that's why I keep on going to Clay as an example, because this isn't just vanity metrics. This is a structured process whereby all of the commenters get fed into a Clay table, enriched, pushed into an account-based marketing strategy. Like, this is no flippant, hey, look at us. I talk about us as a media company earning attention, but that attention drives revenue. So like, we need someone to own this properly. This isn't like, an underfunded social team, which is often the case in B2B, saying like, could you just chuck it out on social? No, social is a strategy, it is a business strategy, it is not a distribution channel. So one, we need to think about this properly, get the operating model and mindsets in the right place. Then my general guidance of when we look at activating people, if someone is like dead scared about doing it and they're not the right ICP, forget it. We're not going to activate everyone. Like I'm not advocating on like forcing people, because it just makes for awful content.
That CTO is just gone, oh, thank God for that.
Exactly. And like, we've seen it like the McDonald's CEO thing. Like if someone is awful on camera, bless him. I don't know if you saw that, where I'm sure you did, but like, and it ends up being its own viral moment, so it's kind of funny. But
I was going to say, actually, if somebody was really thinking about that, they've done a great job.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe that was a strategy all along. Who knows? But the point is, if someone is that awkward on camera, do not make them go on camera. So that's
that's kind of fair play for him for trying it, to be fair.
Mate,
but yeah, probably
exactly.
not the best idea from a sort of corporate social strategy.
But again, it's like thinking like for a media company lens. So the person who's running this needs that curatorial judgment to go, okay, that personality is good. It doesn't matter if they're seniority, because they might play a different role in those kind of 3 layers. Maybe they're like the more entertainment lens. So maybe we go, okay, well, Joe from accounts, actually, you're just genuinely funny. Like maybe there's a place for you there. But also then we want to look at the people that are customer facing already. Already, these people are brilliant in front of customers. Like look at your top salespeople, look at your best performing consultants, your highest performing customer success managers. They need to, take them on a journey to build their profile. And this is the reframe from employee advocates. It's not like, oh, we've created something, would you mind sharing it? No. It's like, we want to help you build your profile. And yes, that might mean that you build your profile enough that you get increasing job offers and you end up getting poached. Fine. But that is...
But think about the journey. Like
exactly.
At the end of someone might get poached. We were talking about one earlier, right? From the Uncensored CMO podcast. Like it is, in that case, obviously he went off to do his own thing. But yeah, he's built it up to a point where he can leave. Theoretically, he's exited that business. So but the value they've created during that period is just so high. But let's talk about content specifically. I think, okay, we've got buy-in, we've got someone leading the charge, we've got someone who is being the strategy internally and bringing it all together. Someone who is what I would call, the strategist, right?
Yeah.
Then I think there are 3 players in this. There's a champion, a strategist, and a producer. If you're doing it internally, right? So you got your strategist locked in, right?
Yeah.
We've identified our champion or champions, okay?
Great
and then
point.
we have someone maybe in there producing it as well, so sorting out that content. But let's dig into that. Who is actually creating the content? Because what you're saying is we're not just getting a CMO to generate, I announced this, or we announced this, or we won this. Everyone just reshare it or put your own spin on it. So who is actually creating this content, and where are those ideas coming from?
Great point. So those ideas need to come from whether you call it the producer, I just saw it the curator, right?
Yeah,
so
perfect.
you are the media lens on this. So it's your job to get your kind of journalistic mindset in gear and go to your sales team or whomever, because it's them that needs to create the content. The goodness lives in their head, and our job is to extract the real lived experience from each of those individuals, whether that through an interview format, whether that's through, I don't know, a Google form, I don't know. Interviews work the best, right? So we'd go to these folk, structured set of questions, whether you do this online or in person, and it's our job to go, all right, well, who are the high performers in our business? Let's get some really good questions to extract their expertise, to really understand the role that they play. Then we can build a content strategy around that. But it's the job of those individuals to create that content. Yes, occasionally as a producer level, there might be things that we need to amplify, and that's okay. But we earn the right to amplify the stuff, which is like the more traditional employee advocacy stuff. We have to earn the right to do that. We earn the right to do that by making personalities out of the individuals in our business. And when I say personality, some people are like, well, I have a face for radio. I mean, I have a face for radio, but like, people feel uncomfortable with that. But it's about finding what's the right format for you. Like maybe you're a better writer, or you're a more comfortable writer. But once people start doing this, it gets very addictive, because people are like, oh, you know what? I did have something to say. You start to see the first few likes come in. You're like, oh, suddenly I'm validated, and you're like, this is actually becomes enjoyable. And I've seen this play out, which I won't share the names, but I've been working with Adobe to help them do this and think through the way from the more kind of corporate type of messaging into having like VPs start to build their own personal brands. And like as soon as they start doing it, it's then like you open the Pandora's box. They're like, oh wow, I got DM'd by the CEO of X company, and like they want a demo, and like, yes, that's how it works. So I think it's always better though, to answer your question directly, start with the people with some revenue responsibility, because you will immediately see the take up. And I often find a lot of success for those that I end up consulting on this as a bit of a side gig. Always the sales teams, always the CRO.
But it shortens sales cycles, like straight up. There is no question, and it's happened with Shake. It's happened with our clients that we work with. once you get a CEO or CRO, a sales leader, whoever it is that is jumping on frequent sales calls and they are seeing you address their pain points time and time again on LinkedIn or social media, they are categorically going to shorten those sales cycles. So you're going to stay front of mind with them
100%.
and you're going to just naturally bring down that time to purchase, which the stats are there. If anyone doesn't believe me and you want to go read some documents, you can go find some Harvard Business Reviews that give those stats. 80%, 88% of buyers examine social media profiles of leaders before they buy. Mm-hmm. Like, come on, that is as much of a trigger than you need, right? And going back to those categories of champion, strategist, and producer, that's what we do at Shake. So we help identify the champion. We are then half of the strategist, typically the other half's internally, and we're the producer. So we take all that weight off. So you can bring that in-house, and you should. But it definitely for those that want to activate an agency to help them do it with expertise, that's like where we sit. So this is not new to us, but it's so interesting to hear like your perspective like on that. So what are the biggest mistakes? What are the biggest mistakes that you're seeing someone try and implement a personality-led strategy internally? Where do they go wrong? Give us a couple.
The most painful one is, okay, Andy, so how can we go viral? Of which it makes me want to walk out the room immediately. I know you guys have strong views on that one too. And the second part will be given up too early. Like, this is a compounding game, and it's one of those painful things. It's like how I wish I'd started my YouTube channel years ago, because it compounds in a way that's unbelievable. It's like one of those things that everyone's like, oh, how did you grow on LinkedIn, Andy? How did you get to speak on these stages? Because of the work I did 8 years ago, right? And there is no short-term hack to this. Yes, you will still see some of the occasional wins, but this is a model you need to commit to. This is not a tactic. This is not okay, for Q2, we're going to have our voices programs. Like, no, we are now doing a voices program. This is what we do. And I think this is the fundamental shift and mindset shift that I keep on talking about, is that when businesses commit to this as a go-to-market, this is a go-to-market. That's how we do it. I'm not saying that we're going to abandon, our outreach or abandon ads or whatever, but this is the foundation. And I honestly think that businesses without that foundation of a personality-led growth layer to everything that they do, they'll be back on that quarterly lead cycle treadmill, feast and famine. You see this, I've ran sales teams for the last 15 years. And you just see it like that all the time. You're like, oh, right, let's do an offer to get more leads in, or let's put more money into ads. We were spending $100,000 a month on ads at ContentCal, and it was like before we pivoted to this whole content-led, personality-driven approach. And I just see it playing out again and again for so many businesses. Oh. You're like, you can get away from this. Your sales cycle, sales velocity.
Yeah, people want they want the short-term hit of turning on the Google ads or the paid ads, and they'll get the leads through in a couple of days. It feels real great until you're then spending tens or hundreds of thousands of pounds or dollars every single month, and then going, I remember the time when in day 5 of like launching this, I got that lead through, and then you're like, yeah, it doesn't work like that. Like social media, LinkedIn, especially for B2B businesses, but also we're seeing more and more B2C brands come on, it just amplifies everything that you're doing. Everything from sales to hiring to fundraising, etc. And talking about work that you did 6 years ago, I love this story where, I don't know if you've ever over Christmas, you may have done this, especially with us in the UK where it's dark and grim and horrible, ever turned on your TV and gone to YouTube and gone 10-hour fireplace. Everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about. There's a YouTube video, it's like 10 hours long, and it's a gentleman from Eastern Europe who put this video up 10 years ago. It's got 130 million views today, and has earned him a lot of money.
Yeah, I bet it
And
has.
that's work that he did 10 years ago. He's never once uploaded a single other video. He's never tried to go at it again. It's just a tiny bit of work he did 10 years ago that has made him very, very, very successful.
I love it.
So, as you say, sometimes it's not that, it is the work you do today which will help you 1, 2, 10 years down the line. But let's go back to some mistakes, because it's time for the shakings. Okay, so in this section, we're going to do 10 blind rankings. So I'm going to give you a topic, which today is the biggest mistakes founders make on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I feel the three of us are in a pretty good position to go through this. So I'm going to read out a mistake. You're going to give me a ranking 1 to 10, 1 being that is the biggest mistake you could make, 10 being, it's a mistake, but it's not the end of the world. So we'll alternate between the two of you. We'll go, Harry, you can go first for this one. So the first one up is posting consistently, but never engaging with others.
It's not disastrous, but LinkedIn's a social network. You need to be sociable. You need to be commenting as well. So I'm gonna stick right down the middle at 5.
Okay, straight down the middle. He's gone very safe with his stuff. Andy, for you next, we have over polishing content so it loses all personality.
This is high. I'm going 3 on that one.
Going 3,
yeah.
Nice. Okay, next one, Harry. No clear point of view, sitting on the fence.
Oh, I just went 5. Let's go. No clear point of view. I want to put it at 4. I feel like we're running out of room at the top quickly.
4. Are we going to go down the same road we've gone down before, where we've gone too high too early? Back to you, Andy. We're going chasing trends instead of building a narrative.
And I can't have 2 in the same ranking. Is that?
You cannot. So we've had 3, 4, 5. So you have to go around it.
Okay. Darn. All right. I'm gonna have to go. I just want to put everything at 1. I'm gonna have to say 6 because we only got space here.
We're going 6.
I've messed us up by going at 5 earlier. I thought he was going to have some that were like actually fine, but he's not. No. They're all going to be bad.
No, they're not fine. None of these are fine.
None of them are fine. And Harry went sitting on the fence before naming sitting on the fence.
The irony of that.
We're going ignoring comments straight after posting.
Ignoring 7.
7. Okay. Andy, something we see a lot in the UK more than I feel anywhere else in the world, but it's very prominent with our 1 billion users that use LinkedIn, not posting at all, the lurker's mindset.
Is now the time to smash in a number 1?
It's got to be. We're talking content.
Yeah,
the ultimate crime is doing nothing.
Yeah.
All right, number 1 is not posting at all. It makes a lot of sense for what we're here to talk about. Harry, over-indexing on vanity metrics, i.e. focusing all your attention and strategy around likes and impressions.
It's pretty bad, but we've only left 2 at the top, so it's either got to be 2, 8, 9, 10.
It doesn't feel too worthy.
It doesn't feel too worthy, so I have to put it at 8, but actually it should be higher than that.
Should have been number 5, really.
Snooker myself.
If we could have them all at number 2, we would have them all.
We need to mess this bit up and we'll re-record it. We'll go back from the top.
Next one is inconsistent posting, spurts, then silence.
This is pretty bad for LinkedIn's algorithm. They've said this numerous times, but it's better than not. I'm hoping you got something like really bad that we can fit in number 2. So it's number 9 free.
Number 9 is free.
We're going to have to go number 9.
So
at least you're doing something.
We have
2 and 10 left.
We have 2 and 10 left,
okay.
opposite end of the scale. So next up is no clear audience or ICP in mind when you press publish. It's a lot of work we do here at Shake is all around the ICP and audience. So
I think that could be too worthy.
You got to take that too.
All right, we're putting it in at number 2. And Andy, that leaves you to select number 10.
It's better be bad.
Be
good, sorry.
For being too corporate / safe in tone.
Oh, come on. Come on.
Well,
there we go.
I would say, are you happy with that ranking? But I don't feel like either of you are happy with those rankings
Not
whatsoever.
At all. No, not at all.
Well, too late. You should have thought about it at the time.
Wow.
Right, so we're on to the next section, gentlemen. We try and keep this as relevant as possible, this podcast. So over the last sort of month or 2, what's in and what's not? Andy, you're our favourite guest in here today. So what is in for you? And then follow it up with what is out for you on the platform right now.
In for me is hiring talent to be the face of the brand, seeing more people do this, and it shows a real recognition of everything we've spoken about today. So huge move. Passion Fruit recently did this.
Yes.
Henry Hayes.
Yeah.
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
Love it. Everyone's a friend of the pod. Good crew.
Only
good
the best
crew.
creators are friends of the pod, Andy, just like you.
Oh, you're good. And then what is out lead gen ads on LinkedIn. Never managed to make them work at ContentCal. Super expensive. CPAs, complete nonsense. All hail thought leader ads, which amazing CPMs, amazing CPAs. Thank you very much, LinkedIn. First time you've got an advertising product that's actually good.
Yeah, and people are using it well now. People were using it terribly when it first started. They were just still doing the kind of corporate company page rubbish and then using that as a thought leader ad. Now people are actually doing genuinely scroll-stopping thought leader ads in the feed. It's, big change.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. Harry, it's jumper time again.
Time.
You are looking
I got to stop wearing jumpers for these podcasts
today in the podcast. Do you have a hot take for us?
I do. This is something that's come up a lot over the past few weeks. We've heard it from all sorts. We've been running workshops. We've heard it from random people in founders networks we're part of. You hear it from people just on LinkedIn all the time, which is people complaining about the things they see in their feed and not actually thinking about the fact you do have an element of control as to what is in your feed. So my hot take is, if you don't like what you're seeing, either remove those connections. You don't have to be connected with them. Or there's a little 3 dots you can press. You can press the 3 dots, and there's a little button that says, don't see more content like this, or I don't like this, or not interested in this, I think actually is the phrase. And you can tick that, and you can teach the algorithm the things you like, the things you don't like. And you can also do it by engaging with stuff you like, commenting on stuff you like. We met someone the other day who was nervous about liking content and what it might do to their feed. And actually, as long as you're liking stuff you actually like, pressing like is a great thing because it kind of trains the algorithm. This is the content you're interested in. And as the algorithm improves and LinkedIn tries to make that better, it's going to be far more effective than it even is at the moment. So my hot take is, take control of your feed. Stop just blaming the algorithm.
Oh, don't blame the algorithm. We never find us here on What Just Happened ever do that. Andy, that's going to wrap the show today. Where can people find you? I assume they can find you on LinkedIn somewhere.
I think they can. Yep. That's where I spend all my time. I do have other socials, but I barely look at them. So LinkedIn is the place.
All right, Andy Lambert. I'll put the links in the description below and all the comments when we push this live. If you want to buy Andy's book, it's Spheres of Influence. You can buy it on Amazon.
That's right.
We're here to plug our guests as best as we can. I promise you, we are no way incentivized to promote this book outside of just being good hosts. So thank you very much, and that's a wrap.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, mate.